This is the perfect RIA, in case you didn't know. Bringing you all the strategies to help your business grow. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Sit back and listen in while you feel the beat, yeah! Another myth bites the dust.
Hello, TPR Nation. This is Amber Keem from The Perfect RIA. Thank you for joining me on today's Fallout Friday, where I'll be covering the highlights and action items from this week's episodes. On Monday, Matt and Micah were talking about this concept of a capacity wall, which they refer to as head trash, and that it really comes down to just limiting beliefs. The idea behind this is that once advisors get to $300,000 to $500,000 worth of revenue, that they hit this wall and they can't get past it until they hire a junior advisor. However, the guys said this wasn't true for them or their Invictus members. They said you can choose to have this be your own self-limiting belief, but that doesn't actually make it true. Instead, you're selling yourself short. And if you want to embrace the mindset that there's a capacity wall at $300,000 to $500,000, then your entire world will shape around that. So how about instead you surround yourself with people who've yet to find the capacity wall? Now, Micah did say when you hit different tiers at different growth structures, you do need to shift how your business operates. He said you'll get to a point where what you've always done isn't the best way to get you to the next level. But that's not a capacity wall, but instead a place where the business needs to shift. They said it's easy to fall victim to this idea that if you just hire someone, then all your problems will go away. But that's not true. There isn't some number where you just have to hire someone and take on this major expense. Matt and Micah said this idea of capacity is likely a process issue, or you're not delivering value. It's usually an issue with the inability to work. Playing office is a huge culprit of this, so you need to look at what is the biggest pain point that you have and look at a process to fix that. So for advisors who feel like they're at a capacity wall, you need to look at your processes and also consider whether you're not prospecting enough or whether you're playing office too much. They also talked about how some advisors feel limited because they're having 2-hour meetings. But it's important to remember that time doesn't equal value. It's what you're doing with that time that equals value to the client, and that everything you're doing needs to be time-focused and value-focused. Matt and Micah discussed how you need to look at who you're spending your time with, as well as your professional development. They said you need to surround yourself with people who don't have that capacity wall mindset, and that will completely shift your mindset because those are the ones who will help you see that your capacity is beyond the horizon. Let's get into action items. Whatever your mind is telling you is your capacity wall, spend more time with people who are on the other side of that and who can show you the way to the next level. You have to know your numbers on your time and on your profitability, and know how to run your meetings and how you're going to deliver value to your clients. On Wednesday, Matt was joined by Jason Speciner from Financial Planning for Collins, who was our Value Smackdown challenger from our pre-conference in the fall, where he and Matt had 30 minutes to review a financial plan. Jason joined the show to talk about how his initial meetings work with prospects, how his team works together, and the value that he's providing to clients, including the need to graduate some of them. Jason said his team works as a true ensemble. So when his team comes together for their development strategy review, they're able to look at a plan from different perspectives, and it helps with their client onboarding process. Jason walked through what his process looks like for a new prospect connecting with his firm. This starts with an introductory call, which Jason primarily does, and a part of this call is to see who in his firm would be a good fit for that prospect based on their particular needs. From there, the advisor who is the right fit will take the reins on this, and he said for them, it's about matching their lead planner with the specific right client need. If he feels the prospect will be a right fit, he then walks through how the next steps will work, what they'll be, and sets those expectations with them for each piece of the onboarding process. This allows the prospect to know everything that will be happening. Jason said setting and then managing those expectations is so critical because this gives the prospect or client such a clearer idea of where they're going to find value with you. Jason also talked about how he started focusing on taxes to see where he could add more value. And he said at first he was doing this as a side hustle. He was going down the path as an enrolled agent, and he feels that the tax knowledge that he can bring to his clients is huge. He's looking at every client's tax return, and he's prepared so many tax returns. He said this has helped him think through what will things look like for his clients. And also, this comes from repetition. He said the more and more that you see, the more comfortable you'll get with this. Jason also shared his experience and process with graduating clients and raising their fees. He said they don't have legacy clients anymore, which he says was difficult. But he said once they did this, he felt this opened the doors to flexibility from a practice growth standpoint. Let's get into action items. Make sure that your clients fit well with your service model. Start with the obvious 10% and those you know won't be a good long-term fit, and use that as a basis for how you're going to refine that process. And this allows you to deliver the most value possible to the clients that are the right fit for you. On Thursday, Jamie talked about how to hire the right people and to make sure that they're driving home the value your organization wants to deliver to everyone you work with. Now, this episode was not just a step-by-step into setting expectations with your team on keeping their jobs. This was so much more. And if you thought Jamie was speaking to you directly, well, maybe she was. So I highly recommend that you take the time to re-listen to this episode. Jamie first acknowledged that finding the right people is a challenge, but this isn't just to fill a seat. Jamie looks at her team and thinks that they're only living a sliver of what they're capable of. Jamie said people don't think that they have more than they've given you because no one has taken the time to invest to help them get farther. So how do you get team members to understand their unlimited potential? Jamie first shared some of the rules in her office on what will get someone fired. Rule number 1. If you're hired and you become a part of the team and the drama starts up, then you're the problem and you need to leave. No drama is allowed. Rule number 2, you have to go over what gets someone fired. She said this can be very concerning for someone, but it allows you to be direct and share what those things are, which are creating drama, lacking accountability, constantly blaming other people for mistakes. She said, when you make a mistake, do you take accountability or are you trying to bring other people down? She said, remember that failure is an opportunity to get better. Also, throwing other people under the bus. And Jamie said, if you get her in trouble with her mom. Once Jamie sets the ground rules, then she moves the conversation into continued education. She said there are 3 aspects to someone's career: education, finances, and motivation. Jamie will tell her team that she can provide 2 out of the 3, but she can't motivate you. That is 100% on the person, and that motivation comes from within. Jamie said the rules exist for everyone on the team. No one is treated differently, and everyone has the same framework, and this creates a sense of trust. Once the new team member is in place, her team leads are responsible for onboarding the new person, and then Jamie will do a 30-day, 90-day check-in. Her approach is to start with deficiencies and then go over the highlights and opportunities. She'll also have a professional development meeting with the team to go over a 3 to 5 year plan, and she'll use this as a check-in. She doesn't do an annual review because the expectation is that an annual review means a pay raise. Instead, she focuses the raise on effort. Jamie said money follows value. So if you're becoming more and more valuable in your organization, then money will chase you. People need to look at what are they doing to become more critical to the organization. Jamie then talked about how people prioritize the things that are important to them. So here was the big question Jamie asked on Thursday. Are you prioritizing outside of search to be intentional with all the things you say you're doing this for? She stressed that you can't say you don't have time. We all have time for the things that matter most in our lives. Jamie talked about happiness and how money doesn't buy you happiness, and that if you anchor your happiness to the achievement of some tangible item, then once you achieve it, it's never going to be good enough. This isn't the same as setting goals. This is when you're focused on the money only. Your happiness isn't the horizon. Jamie also talked about relationships and how you need to look at what type of investment you put into your relationships versus your business. That you have to be constantly working on your relationships. Because if you're not willing to do that, then why are you doing Surge in the first place? So what are you doing once Surge wraps up to be just as intentional? Jamie said that if you put the right people in the right seats, then you're able to be intentional and be with the people that you're doing all of this for. Let's get into action items. Evaluate your team and make sure that you have the right people in the right positions. You can use Colby or DISC. You need to have the rules of engagement outlined for your team. Make sure your team knows what can get them fired. Ask yourself, what type of investment are you willing to make to ensure that you're living up to your potential? That wraps up this week's recap. Thank you for joining me on today's Follow-Up Friday. Be sure to give us 5 stars wherever you're enjoying this podcast and share this or any of our episodes with another advisor or team member who you think might benefit from listening. And until next time, happy planning.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife. The perfect RIA, the perfect RIA.